You feel it, don't you? That pressure inside your chest, the silent ache, the whisper that tells you there is more. You are not broken. You are being summoned. The wilderness is not punishment. It is preparation. No one is brought there by accident. You did not lose everything because you were weak. You lost everything because what is to come cannot be built on what has already been. You prayed for strength, and the answer was a storm. You asked for purpose, and life gave you silence because, before a leader can speak, he must first sit with the weight of silence. Before you are entrusted with the fire, you must learn to survive the cold. Out here, nothing flatters you. There's no applause, no validation, no comfort to cradle your ego. Just you. You and the mirror of who you really are. The wilderness strips you. It tears from you every false identity you clung to for safety. It's not cruelty, it's a cleansing, because destiny can't bloom in soil poisoned by pride. You've cried in secret. You've screamed at the heavens. You've buried your face in your hands and asked why it had to hurt this much. But that pain wasn't a curse, it was a chisel. Every blow wasn't to destroy you, but to carve you into something unshakable. The wilderness teaches in silence what comfort never could. Look around, no map, no guide, no promise that the next step won't break you. But still, you walk, because something inside you refuses to die. That's how you know you're chosen. Not by ease, but by endurance. Not by favor, but by fire. The ones who rise are the ones who keep walking when it makes no sense to. Discipline doesn't grow in luxury. It grows in hunger. It grows in the morning frost and the evening ache. When no one's watching. When your hands are blistered and your heart feels hollow. That's where resolve is forged. Not when you feel strong, but when you obey even when your bones beg you to stop. You keep looking for a way out, but the wilderness is not a cage. It's a doorway, and only the broken can fit through. You must shrink your pride, your comfort, your illusion of control. The door to purpose is narrow, and most never make it through because they can't let go of who they think they are. Let it fall. Let the expectations burn. Let the old self die. That version of you was built for survival, not for calling out here. You're not surviving anymore. You're being transformed. From wanderer to warrior, from follower to firebearer. This is not the end of you. This is the unmaking that comes before resurrection. You will be tested, not by enemies, but by silence, not by pain, but by time. Time that stretches like eternity, while nothing seems to change. That's where most give up, not because they failed, but because they stopped believing when no one was watching. But you were made for more, and deep down, you know it. There's a voice in you louder than fear, older than doubt, wiser than your wounds. It says, keep walking. It says, trust the desert. It says this is how leaders are built. You'd be not waiting on the path is waiting on you. To surrender, to stop pretending, to finally give up the need to be liked, to be seen, to be in control. The wilderness won't give you what you want, it'll give you what you need. If you knew how many were watching your silence, you'd never question your struggle. There's someone who needs your scars. There's someone who needs your stillness, and you can't lead them where you haven't been. This pain you carry at sacred ground. Walk it with fire in your chest, because they're coming, and they'll follow your footprints. Let the darkness speak, not to terrify you, but to teach you. The night doesn't last forever, but it makes you appreciate the fire. You'll understand one day why the stars don't scream, why the wind doesn't explain, because not everything holy speaks. Some things just watch to see, if you'll trust them in the silence. This is where kings are crowned in secret, where prophets are molded in mud, where voices are born not from words, but from wounds. If you wait for the world to call you worthy, you'll die with your calling buried inside you. Answer now, bleeding, broken, unsure, but answer anyway. You won't come out the same. That's the point. The one who entered must not survive, because the wilderness is sacred. It doesn't just change. You doesn't just change. You that reveals you, and the truth it shows won't flatter your ego, but it will free your soul. Keep walking, not because it's easy, not because you're sure, but because you were made for more than comfort. You were made for conquest, and this desert you curse will one day become the place you bless, because this is where the fire began. This is where you met yourself. This is where the leader in you stopped hiding. You thought the pain was proof you were doing something wrong, but the pain was proof you were finally alive. It woke you up, tore off the masks, forced you to look in the mirror long enough to see the truth. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to stay soft. Comfort made you forget what you carry, forget who you are. The fire isn't punishment, it's memory. It's waking up the part of you that was always meant to lead. Not lead crowds, lead yourself, through the storm, through the confusion, through the parts of life no one claps for. You're not falling apart, you're falling open. Every ache, every unanswered prayer, every empty night, it was pulling back the layers. Because the version of you that settles, that compromises, that performs, that one can't carry what's coming. You had to be undone, so what's eternal could finally take root. You looked for mentors, for teachers, for someone to take your hand and say, this is the way. But no one came, because you were meant to be the one others will look to. Not because you have all the answers, but because you survived the silence without losing your fire. There are no shortcuts through the wilderness, no secret map, no easy route. Only one step at a time, one breath, one act of obedience. You're not being punished, you're being planted, and what grows in this soil will shake generations. They won't see the process, they'll only see the results. The calm in your voice, the weight behind your words, the way you stand when others fold. But you'll know what it cost you, what you had to lay down, what you had to bury. Some nights the darkness will feel final. It'll whisper that you've been forgotten. But light doesn't need to be loud. It only needs to be faithful. And if you listen close, between the silence and the storm, you'll hear it. That still, small fire inside your bones, start telling you to keep going. Your journey isn't just for you. It's for the ones watching quietly, wondering if they can make it too. When you rise, they rise. When you speak, they'll listen. Not because you're flawless, but because you walked through the fire and didn't curse the flame. They will ask how you did it, and you'll smile. Because you won't have a formula. No 7-step system, no polished answer, just this. I went into the wilderness. I let it strip me, and I didn't run from the pain. You didn't quit. You bled. You cried. You screamed, but you didn't quit. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Not talent, not timing, but obedience. Radical, stubborn, unreasonable obedience to the voice within. And now the wilderness opens, the shadows break. Not because it's over, but because you're ready to walk with weight, with truth, with authority. Because what once broke you now bows to you. This is the solution, not escape, but embodiment. You don't run from the wilderness, you become the wilderness. Unpredictable, unmet, holy. You carry the fire now, not to burn others, but to light the way. You thought the goal was survival, but it was transfiguration. You asked for answers, and you received transformation. The problem never needed to be solved. It needed to be submitted to, so the leader in you could rise. You are not who you were, and that's the victory. Not the stage, not the crown, but the resurrection of the you that was always meant to lead. The you that doesn't flinch, the you that doesn't run, the you that walks into darkness and walks out with light in his voice. So now walk. Not with fear, not with doubt, but with fire. You were never forgotten. You were being formed, and now you are ready. Not perfect but chosen, not finished but filled. Picture this, you, standing at the edge of what you thought would break you. Your body tired, your heart scarred, but your eyes burn with clarity, because now you see. The wilderness wasn't exile, it was encounter. You weren't being punished, you were being invited into depth, into destiny, into fire. The world will try to define you by what you'd lost, but legacy is never built on comfort. It's built on conviction, and conviction only rises when every other voice has gone silent. That silence you hated, it gave birth to your roar. Not the loud kind, the deep kind, the kind that shakes foundations without raising its voice. You will return, not to where you were, but to the world that left you behind. Only now, you carry something different. You've seen the other side of yourself, the part forged in fire, and you're no longer waiting for doors to open. You've become the door. Watch how they look at you now, not because you became famous, but because you became focused. They won't understand your silence. They'll question your peace, because you stopped needing to explain yourself. When you walk in truth, explanation becomes unnecessary. Some will hate it, the calm in your storm, the joy in your scars, the power in your stillness. They'll call it arrogance, but it's authority, earned in deserts, tested in darkness, verified in silence. You'll carry light. Not the cheap kind that flatters, the kind that confronts, You'll speak not to impress, but to pierce, and your words will carry weight, because they were birthed in the waiting. You used to beg for comfort, now you bleed for calling, because comfort builds consumers, but pain builds carriers, carriers of truth, carriers of healing, carriers of vision. You will no longer chase ease, you'll chase alignment. Because now you know, ease is the enemy of elevation. The path to purpose always runs through pain, but pain isn't the end, it's the passage. There will still be storms, but you'll no longer fear them, because now you are the storm, not the one that destroys, but the one that awakens, that brings rain to dry places, that calls dead things back to life. The wilderness wasn't sent to destroy you, it was sent to reveal you, to show you what was buried beneath years of approval, addiction, self-doubt, and distraction. Now, you walk different, you speak different, because your identity is no longer rented from the world, it's rooted in the fire, and now, it's time. Time to build, not a brand, not a platform, a life, a legacy, a structure that doesn't fall when seasons change. You are no longer building on sand. You've seen too much, felt too deep, gone too far to ever go back to shallow living. You were called to carry truth, even when it costs you everything, especially when it costs you everything. When they ask why you're different, tell them, I met myself in the wilderness. And when they ask how you made it out, tell them, I stopped running, and I started listening. The fire didn't kill me, it crowned me. You now have eyes that see, beyond appearance, ears that hear what silence whispers, a heart that no longer bows to fear, because fear lost its grip in the quiet, and truth became louder than doubt. You don't owe the world your explanation. You owe it your obedience, your integrity, your scars, your full presence. That's your offering now. The wilderness stripped you, but what remains is gold, and what was burned away was never yours to carry. Now you move with precision. You speak only when necessary. You live with one mission, to be who you were born to be, not who the world begged you to become. And this is the solution. Become the fire, not to burn others, but to burn through illusion, to light the way, to stand in spaces where most hide, to speak when silence kills, to walk when others freeze, to carry the truth that costs, but never collapses. You are the answer to someone's cry. Someone is waiting for your scars, your healing, your honesty. And if you stay quiet, they stay bound. So speak from the fire, walk from the ashes, build from the brokenness. This is not the end, it's the emergence. The revealing. Not of someone new, but of someone real. You were not made to fit in, you were made to go ahead. To walk first, to fall first, to rise first, so others could follow your footprints into the light. And when they do, you won't need to lead with volume, you'll lead with presence, with fire in your eyes and weight in your words, because now you've walked through the wilderness, and the wilderness walks with you. So walk into the wilderness. That's where the fire is, that's where the truth is, that's where leaders are made.